Imagine an island so remote that polar bears outnumber humans. No major cities. No army. No giant economy. Most people have never even heard of it. Yet if this island suddenly stopped functioning, critical satellite systems across Europe could be affected. Scientists could lose access to valuable space data. Global food security systems could face risks. And some of the world's most powerful nations would immediately pay attention. This is not science fiction. This place actually exists. Deep inside the Arctic Ocean, between mainland Norway and the North Pole. Its name is Svalbard. And by the end of this video, you'll understand why this frozen island may be one of the most strategically important places on Earth. At first glance, Svalbard doesn't look important at all. The islands are covered in snow and ice for much of the year. The population is only a few thousand people. Temperatures can drop far below freezing. There are no massive factories, no skyscrapers, no global financial centers, no major military forces. In fact, most maps barely give it any attention. So why do governments, scientists, and geopolitical experts care so much about this place? The answer lies beneath the ice and above the atmosphere. Hidden inside a mountain on Svalbard is one of humanity's most valuable backups. The Global Seed Vault, often called the Doomsday Vault. This facility stores seed samples from almost every corner of the world. Millions of seeds are preserved here. Rice from Asia, wheat from Europe, corn from the Americas, and thousands of other crop varieties. Think of it as a giant backup drive for human civilization. If a war destroys crops, if a disease wipes out important plants, or if climate disasters damage agriculture, scientists can use these seeds to restore what was lost. Without food security, societies become unstable. And that's why countries around the world send their most valuable crop samples to this frozen mountain. But surprisingly, the seed vault is not the main reason Svalbard matters. The real story is even bigger. To understand Svalbard's importance, we need to look up. Far above Earth, thousands of satellites orbit the planet every day. These satellites help provide weather forecasts, navigation services, environmental monitoring, scientific research, ship tracking, and countless other services we rely on. Many of these satellites pass near the polar regions during their orbits. That creates a unique advantage. Because Svalbard sits so far north, it can communicate with satellites more frequently than many locations farther south. As a result, major satellite ground stations were built on the island. Every day, enormous amounts of information flow through these facilities. Weather agencies receive critical climate data. Scientists download research information. Governments monitor environmental changes. And organizations around the world depend on data collected through Arctic satellite networks. Most people never think about this hidden infrastructure, but modern societies depend on it. Without reliable satellite communication, many systems become less efficient. And that means Svalbard has quietly become an important node in the global information network. But there's another reason why this island is attracting more attention than ever before. The Arctic is changing. For centuries, thick ice made much of the Arctic difficult to access. Trade routes were limited. Economic activity remained relatively small. But rising temperatures are changing the region. As Arctic ice retreats, new shipping routes are becoming possible. Routes that could connect Europe and Asia faster than traditional pathways. For shipping companies, shorter routes mean lower costs. For countries, they mean strategic advantages. And wherever trade flows, geopolitical competition usually follows. Suddenly, the Arctic is no longer a distant wilderness. It is becoming an increasingly important economic and strategic region. And Svalbard sits right in the middle of it. This growing importance has attracted the attention of major powers. Russia has invested heavily in Arctic infrastructure. NATO countries have increased their focus on northern security. China has shown growing interest in Arctic trade routes and scientific research. Everyone sees opportunity in the region. Resources, shipping lanes, strategic positioning, influence. As global competition expands into the Arctic, places that once seemed isolated are becoming increasingly valuable. And few places are more strategically located than Svalbard. Now here's where the story becomes even more unusual. Svalbard belongs to Norway. But unlike most territories around the world, it operates under a very special international agreement. More than a century ago, countries signed the Svalbard Treaty. This treaty recognized Norwegian sovereignty over the islands, but it also granted special rights to citizens and companies from numerous other nations. As a result, Svalbard became one of the most unique political arrangements on Earth, a territory controlled by one country, yet connected to many others through international agreements. This unusual status has worked relatively peacefully for decades. But as Arctic competition increases, Svalbard's strategic importance continues to grow. And with greater importance comes greater geopolitical attention. When people think about global power, they usually imagine aircraft carriers, nuclear weapons, military alliances, or giant economies. But real power often hides in places nobody expects. A mountain filled with seeds, a network of satellite stations, a frozen island near the North Pole. Svalbard may seem small, remote, and insignificant, but appearances can be deceptive. Because in today's world, power is not just about controlling territory. It's about controlling information, protecting resources, securing infrastructure, and occupying the right place on the map. That is why this tiny Arctic island matters, and why governments, scientists, and strategists continue to watch it closely. The next time someone tells you that geopolitics is only about armies and borders, remember Svalbard, a place few people know, but a place that could influence the future of an entire continent, and perhaps much more than that. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe for more hidden geopolitics, strategic choke points, and the unseen infrastructure that shapes our world.